You are literally swamped with work and personal responsibilities, projects, stacks of magazines to read, and piles of books you intend to get to one of these days as soon as you get caught up. But the fact is that you will never get far enough ahead to be able to get to all those books, magazines, and leisure time activities that you dream of. No matter how many personal productivity techniques you master, there will always be more to do than you can ever accomplish in the time you have available to you. You can get control of your time and your life only by changing the way you think. You can get control of your tasks and activities only to the degree that you stop doing some things and start spending more time on the few activities that can really make a difference in your life. When you learn these methods and techniques and apply them over and over until they become habits, you will alter the course of your life in a very positive way. Throughout my career, I have found a simple truth. The ability to concentrate single-mindedly on your most important task, to do it well and to finish it completely, is the key to great success, achievement, respect, status, and happiness in life. If you're like most people today, you are overwhelmed with too much to do and too little time. Because of this, you will never be able to do everything you have to do. You will always be behind in some of your tasks and responsibilities, and probably in many of them, perhaps more than ever before. Your ability to select your most important task at each moment and then to start on that task and get it done both quickly and well will probably have more of an impact on your success than any other quality or skill you can develop. It's been said for many years that if the first thing you do each morning is to eat a live frog, you can then go through the day with the satisfaction of knowing that is probably the worst thing that's going to happen to you all day long. Your frog is your biggest, most important task. It's the one you're most likely to procrastinate on if you don't do something about it right now. If you have to eat 2 frogs, eat the ugliest one first. This is another way of saying that if you have 2 important tasks, strike with the biggest, hardest, and most difficult task first. Continually remind yourself that one of the most important decisions you make each day is your choice of what you will do immediately and what you will do later, if you do it at all. The key to reaching high levels of performance and productivity is for you to develop a lifelong habit of tackling your major task first thing each morning. Successful, effective people are those who launch directly into their major tasks and then discipline themselves to work steadily and single-mindedly until those tasks are complete. In our world, you are paid for making a valuable contribution, and especially for making the contribution that is expected of you. Failure to execute is one of the biggest problems in organizations today. They talk continually, hold endless meetings, and make wonderful plans, but in the final analysis, no one does the job and gets the results required. Fully 95% of your success in life and work will be determined by the kinds of habits that you develop over time. The habit of setting priorities, overcoming procrastination, and getting on with your most important task is learnable through practice and repetition over and over again until it locks into your subconscious mind and becomes a permanent part of your behavior. You are designed mentally and emotionally in such a way that task completion gives you a positive feeling whenever you complete a task of any size or importance. One of the keys to living a wonderful life, having a successful career, and feeling terrific about yourself is for you to develop the habit of starting and finishing important jobs. Practice is the key to mastering any new skill. With practice, you can learn any behavior or develop any habit that you consider either desirable or necessary. You need 3 qualities to develop the habits of focus and concentration, which are all learnable. First, make a decision to develop the habit of task completion. Second, discipline yourself to practice the principles you're about to learn until you master them. And finally, back everything you do with determination until the habit is locked in and becomes a permanent part of your personality. Now, there's a special way that you can accelerate your progress toward becoming highly productive. See yourself as the kind of person who gets important jobs done quickly and well on a consistent basis. Visualize yourself as the person you intend to be. As professional speaker Jim Cathcart says, the person you see is the person you will be. When you train yourself through repetition and practice to overcome procrastination and get your most important task completed quickly, you will move yourself onto the fast track in your life and career and step on the accelerator. Clarity is the most important concept in personal productivity. The more clear you are about what it is you want and what you have to do to achieve it, the easier it is for you to overcome procrastination. Eat your frog and get on with the completion of the task. A major reason for procrastination and lack of motivation is vagueness and confusion about what you are supposed to do. Here's a great rule for success. Think on paper. Only about 3% of adults have clear written goals. These people accomplish 5 and 10 times as much as people of equal or better education and ability, but who, for whatever reason, have never taken the time to write out exactly what it is they want. There's a powerful formula for setting and achieving goals that you can use for the rest of your life. It consists of 7 simple steps. Here it is. Step number 1, decide exactly what you want. Either decide for yourself or sit down with your boss and discuss your goals and objectives until you are crystal clear about exactly what is expected of you and in what order of priority. Step number 2, write it down. When you write down your goal, you crystallize it and give it tangible form. On the other hand, a goal or objective that's not in writing is merely a wish or a fantasy. Unwritten goals lead to confusion, vagueness, misdirection, and numerous mistakes. Step number 3, set a deadline on your goal. Without a definite deadline accompanied by the assignment or acceptance of specific responsibilities for completion, you will naturally procrastinate and get very little done. Step number 4, make a list of everything that you can think of that you're going to have to do to achieve your goal. A list gives you a visual picture of the larger task or objective. It dramatically increases the likelihood that you will achieve your goal as you have defined it and on schedule. Step number 5, organize the list into a plan. Take a few minutes to decide what you need to do first and what you can do later. Decide what has to be done before something else and what needs to be done afterwards. With a written goal and an organized plan of action, you will be far more productive and efficient than someone who is carrying his goals around in his mind. Step number 6, take action on your plan immediately. For you to achieve any kind of success, execution is everything. And finally, step number 7, resolve to do something every single day that moves you toward your major goal. Read a specific number of pages on a key subject, call on a specific number of prospects or customers, engage in a specific period of physical exercise, learn a certain number of new words in a foreign language. This decision, this discipline alone, can make you one of the most productive and successful people of your generation. Clear written goals have a wonderful effect on your thinking. The bigger your goals and the clearer they are, the more excited you become about achieving them. Think about your goals and review them daily. Every morning when you begin, take action on the most important task you can accomplish to achieve your most important goal at the moment. Now here's what you can do to put this idea into action immediately. Take a clean sheet of paper right now and make a list of 10 goals that you want to accomplish in the next year. Use the present tense, positive, and first person so that they are immediately accepted by your subconscious mind. For example, you would write, I earn X number of dollars per year. Then go back over your list of 10 goals and select the one goal that, if you achieved it, would have the greatest positive impact on your life. This exercise alone could change your life if you had a major purpose you wanted to do, the people that could help you do it, and then have the sufficient phase to keep you going while you did it. Don't you see that would be about all you would need? You need personal initiative, you need the imagination, you need enthusiasm. This philosophy is something like baking a cake, and if you took out any one of those ingredients, you wouldn't have the same kind of cake. You can't leave out any one of these 17 principles. It'd be just like taking a link out of a chain. And these are the 14 principles supporting these 3. Faith is a state of mind that has been called the mainspring of the soul, through which one's aims, desires, plans, and purposes may be translated into their physical or financial equipment. Now, when you speak of applied faith, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about something vastly different from just mere belief. That's the action part of things, and there are a lot of people you know who believe in things, but they don't do anything about them. 2 fundamentals of faith are, first of all, definiteness of purpose supported by personal initiative and action. Action, 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 but more action the better. Next, a positive mind free from all negatives such as fear and hatred, jealousy and greed. A positive mental attitude determines the effect of this update. And next, a mastermind alliance with one or more people who who radiate courage based on faith and are suited mentally and spiritually to one's needs in carrying out a given purpose. And next, recognition of the fact that every adversity carries with it the seed of an equivalent benefit, and temporary defeat is not failure until it has been accepted as such. Do you know where the majority of people fall down in connection with their application of their faith? It's while they're depleted and they accept that defeat as being something that can't do anything about. They become discouraged, they build up inferiority complexes instead of reversing that order and using that defeat as nothing more than temporary and making another effort. And next, the habit of affirming one's definite major purpose in the form of a prayer at least once daily. Now, the subconscious mind only knows what you tell it. It doesn't know the difference between a lie and the truth. It doesn't know the difference between a penny and $1 million. And if you send over predominating thoughts on poverty and ill health and failure, that's exactly what you'll get. And it's necessary for you to affirm over and over again these objects that you are going to obtain in life until you educate your subconscious mind to attract automatically to you the things that are related to what you're aiming to attain in life. That the individual you that is a minute expression of this intelligence, and as such you, the individual. And if I had ever wavered for 1 second from the time that I started with Mr. Carnegie up until the time I gave this philosophy to the world, if I had wavered 1 second in my belief that I would do it, I would never have done it. Do you have any idea what was the strongest part in what I've achieved? I am no more brilliant than the average person, no more intelligent than the average person, but there was something in there that was responsible for. In other words, I believed I could do it, and I never stopped believing it. And I want to tell you that if you can take that attitude towards yourself, if you can throw yourself over on the side of yourself when you're overtaken by adversity, if you can stand by and not also go over against yourself, then you're using up light faith, and you've got to do that. Have you ever thought of that? Nobody is permitted to attain a high state in life and stay there without being tested, any more than anybody is allowed to go into a well-managed business and go up to a high position and stay there. Without even being tested with lower positions, I don't know how the Creator runs His business entirely, but I can definitely see that He allows nobody to attain a higher state in life without giving him severe tests. The men of great achievement in all walks of life back through the ages were great only in proportion as they had been defeated and as they had met with opposition. Couldn't have been a coincidence that every one of these outstanding men was great in proportion exactly as he had been small and as he had been opposed and as he had had to struggle. Anything you want to do, no matter what you call it, we're all talking about one. The first girl, there's only one. There's one first cause that's responsible for this great universe we're living in. I call it the infinite intelligence, and the infinite intelligence happens to be a sort of a neutral, in-between term that nobody can object to. Nobody at all, unless you can absolutely put down on paper evidence that there is a first cause that you can draw on. Why then, you are not going to be able to make the foolish use of applied food while there's more evidence of a first cause, and there isn't anything that I know of my new part of that intelligence expressing through your brain. The only limitations are those which you set up in your own mind or permit somebody to set up there or circumstances to establish for you. Next, careful inventory of your past defeats and adversities from which it becomes obvious that all such experiences do carry the seed of an equivalent benefit, never a defeat. Every failure carries with it the seed of an equivalent benefit. Wouldn't mean a thing in the world to you unless you examine enough illustrations in your own experience. You see that it always works out that way. That's why I want you to examine these adversities that come to you.
Do you know that oftentimes your adversities are your greatest blessings? And I want to tell you that without some Clint and major adversities I've gone through, I would never been able to approve the soundness of this philosophy, and that there is a scene of an equivalent benefit in every aversion. There will be things that happen to you in the future that are unpleasant, and maybe some to me too. But I tell you what I'm going to do when anything unpleasant happens to me. I'm going to immediately transmute it into something pleasant. A self-respect expressed through harmony with one's own conscience is certainly an important factor in applied faith. You don't have to ask anybody what's right or wrong. Your own conscience tells you, unless you convert it into a conspirator instead of a cooperator by choking it off and not responding to it, as so many people do, your conscience can be not only a guide, but it can also be corrupted towards a conspirator. It'll help you cover up your meanness if that weren't true. There couldn't be so many fruits loose in the world that they concocting plans for starting bigger and better wars. They have no conscience. They've killed off the conscience. That conscience is a marvelous thing. And next, to create a mental attitude favorable for the express, first of all, know what you want and determine what you have to give in return for it. Know what you want in life. And I learned not only in your major purpose, but in your minor persons. What kind of house do you want to live in? What kind of car do you want to drive? What kind of wardrobe do you want? What kind of presents are you going to buy your wife for a birthday? I know it's the little things in your life that make the difference between the half of this and unhappiness. And next, when you affirm the object of your desires through prayer, let your imagination see yourself already in possession of the thing that you're going at. And that's the best salesmanship in the world, when you grow up to sell a person, an idea, or a merchandise, or a service. If you know positively that you're going to give him his money's worth and more, dude, before you stop, it does something to you. The neighbors do something to him that enables him to do that in return, do something for you. If you want your prayers to be effective, don't wait until the time of need to utter them. Build up the habit of a prayer when you don't need anything. Wouldn't it be an interesting thing if I gave you a less assignment right now to write down before the night before you go to bed tonight everything that you have in this world to be thankful for? You may have a lot of things you don't want, but you have a lot of things you do want. Write down on this 7 and express gratitude that you have these things that you like. And then start by expressing gratitude every night and every day. Keep your mind open for guidance from within. Yes, hunches. You'll get hunches. Treat them with civility. Examine them. And you may find that some of these very unusual hunches that you come are bringing you messages that you need to get you over the hump and whatever it is that you're doing. And when you are inspired by hunches to move on some plan created by your imagination, accept the plan and act upon it once. And remember always that there can be no such state of mind as faith without appropriate action. And when overtaken by defeat, as you may be many times, remember that man's faith is tested many times, and your defeat may be only one of your testing times. We all go through that testing time, and the ones that survive these tips can come out on top with an abiding faith, are the ones that become truly great in life. Any negative state of mind will destroy the power of faith and result in a negative climax. Your state of mind is everything. That's the only thing you have control over. Your education, your background, your nationality, your creed has nothing whatsoever to do with your ability to achieve. It's the state of mind that you maintain. For me, that's the most profound thing in all of the knowledge of mankind. The most profound of all of us is the fact that the homeless person can take possession of his own mind. Just the change of his mental attitude changes from success to failure almost instantly. A burning desire is the sort of material of which faith is created. There are a lot of desires in the world, but they're not burning desires, and they're not obsessional as ours. And most people in their whole life never express or never experience an obsessional desire for anything. We wish for everybody to have a lot of money without having to work for it. I'll say wish for things. Wish for the Cadillac when they're driving it forward. And if you want a Cadillac car and you make up your mind to have it, get out and see that the men under you or the job that you're holding, and see that you put into it, in this will imply to either Cadillac car. You have to weld them with a burning desire, and then you have to do some action. You've got to start right where you stand with action. Now, here's a lot of examples of men who have achieved. There is one down here that I particularly want to call your attention to, that of Miss Helen Keller, who believed that she would learn to talk, despite the fact that she had lost the use of her speech, her sight, and her hearing. And yet, did you know, of course you do know, that Helen Keller became one of the best educated women in the world, and all she has to go by is the vibration. I think with a woman with a handicap of that kind, all the way through life, getting joy out of life, rendering useful service, making speeches, if you have faith, keep your mind on that which you want and not on that which you do not want. How does one go about keeping his mind on all for the things he doesn't want? The way you keep your mind off of things you don't want is to transfer your mind over to things you do want and start talking about them. Start giving thanks for already possessing them. Won't sound silly to you because you know what you're doing. You're talking to your subconscious mind. You're re-educating yourself. You're keeping your mind fixed on things you want and off the things you don't want. And if you ever feel blue or discouraged or lacking in courage, I'll tell you a good remedy for them. May I sit down and take a tablet and start my rings? Number 1, the thing that you want most in life. Number 2, the thing that you want next month. Number 3, the thing you want next moment. Describe the look that you want it on, whether you want to own a lot of acreage on top of the hill or down below the road or above the road. How many rooms you want that house to have, how you want each room furnished. Do a little mental winter shopping, and believe you me, you'll get it. You'll get your mind over that looting issue, get it onto something that's constructed. Start right in doing something physically, writing down the things that you want. When anything bothers you, a lot of things that I can see have a lot of advantages I can use that I don't understand, but I don't need to understand them. I know which button to press to get the result I want, and I don't need to know how. What happens between the pressing of that button and the result that happens? How would I know? Do you suppose that any person can actually make life pay off point by point on his own terms instead of accepting the circumstances? There is only one way in this world that I could possibly know that, and that's by my own experiences, or can't get easily that if you go back just a few years ago, what an astounding statement it is, because it's so broadly in contrast to what I might have said a few years back before I'd learned the secret of getting everything that I want. You must have a definite objective, a purpose, a goal before you can have faith in anything. Faith is a middle attitude wherein the mind is cleared of all fears and doubts and directed toward the attainment of something definite through the inspiration of infinite intelligence. Faith's not going to go out and get you that Cadillac or that mean coat or that new house that you want or that better job or that better business with all those clients that you need if you're a professional. But faith will guide you as to how you can do it. And then you find that there is always a part that you misplaced. And if infinite intelligence is very wisely provided, a system whereby you can be sure of getting your food out of the soil of the earth, how by complying with the laws of nature. You go out there and you plant the seed. You plant it in soil that you have examined to make sure it has the elements in there that you want into the plant. You plant it at the right season. You plant it at the right depth in the ground. All of those things you do by way of going the extra mile, you do them in advance and you comply with nature's law. So that's what you do. You do your part. Faith will do nothing for you if you expect everything to be done for you outside of yourself. When faith, probably, my little notice, that word, probably down there, why do you think I say faith probably works through the subconscious section of the mind? I'll tell you why I put it there, because nobody knows definitively whether it does or not. It appears to work through the subconscious section of the mind. The subconscious acting as the gateway between the conscious section of the mind and infinite intelligence. My picture, another picture of what happens when you pray properly, is at your first condition, your mind. You know what it is you want, and then you transfer over to your subconscious mind a clear picture, the only way you can reach into infinite intelligence in my book of rooms. Now, the definite essential steps in the development of self-reliance based on faith. I'm going to call your attention to the most important ones. First of all, you adopt a major purpose to begin at once to attain it. You know, when you know what you want and you're starting to get it, you have a measure of self-reliance, or you're demonstrating a major of self-reliance, because if you didn't believe in yourself, you wouldn't even begin, would you? The very fact that you start, even though you're a long way from attaining the thing you're going after, shows that you have a measure or a degree of self-reliance. And the more you pursue that idea, the stronger that belief will be. The next, associate as many as possible of the 9 basic motives with the object of the definite major purposes. You've had this experience that you wanted something very badly, and in order to get to something that you want, a very bad material something, it meant extra money that you couldn't lay your hands on. You didn't have it in the bank. You weren't earning it. Write out a list of all the advantages of your definite major purpose and call these into your minds many times daily. And it's the same thing with reference success. If you accept any kind of a fear complex or an inferiority complex, If you don't expect success of yourself and develop a success expectation or consciousness, you're not going to be a success. You just have to do that. If your major purpose is to achieve some material thing or money, see yourself already in possession of it. And if your faith isn't great enough that you can see the thing already in your possession even before you start to get it, then you're not making use of applied things. Associate with people who are earning sympathy with you and your major purpose, and lead them to encourage you in every way possible. Don't disclose your aims and purposes to people who are not absolutely dependable, loyal, and close to you, especially loyal. But it's surprising how sometimes the people to whom you disclose your ideas, if they're good ideas, they go around the corner and beat you to the draw. And they're using your ideas before you use them, or they're saying something to discourage you. Don't let a single day pass without making at least one definite move towards the achievement of your major purpose. Your mental attitude is the sum total of your thoughts at a given time. A positive mental attitude has its roots in the spiritual wills of one's soul. Mental attitude is the medium by which adversities may be transmuted into benefits. You'll find some of those that appeal to you more than others. Make them your own. Surround yourself with suggestions. Everywhere you look, you'll see something that suggests a positive mental attitude. You'll notice when you go into the office of a successful person or into the home of a successful person, if you can find these, then another place where he himself withdraws unto himself, you will find that oftentimes he has himself surrounded with pictures of those whom he considers great. Oftentimes he'll have mottos on the walls. I've seen hundreds of them. I walked into my friend Jennings Randolph's office when he was in Congress in Washington. I found he had all of the walls of his congressional office covered with the pictures of men whom he considered great. He did that to live in the environment of the great, in the environment of things that kept his mind positive. Start in where you are, in your home, in your business, in your office, wherever you stay the most, starting there to put up something that will give you a positive thought. Just before you go to bed, be surprised at how much good it'll do you.